world, welcome back to another video. Today is potentially going to be quite a long video, so I would like to apologize in advance, but please stick with me because it's a nice one, I think. So I kind of made the last minute decision to participate in the Booktube-a-thon this year. I was going to, and then I wasn't, and then I was like, it's nice, I kind of don't want to miss out on this opportunity, but it's so much hassle because I don't really have any books that are appropriate for the reading challenges. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. But that does mean that I don't have time anymore to make a separate Booktube-a-thon TBR video because it starts at midnight. So I figured I would cram it into my regularly scheduled Wrap-Up and TBR video, hence the length of this one. So let's just start with my regular July wrap-up. I read 5 books in July. The first one is this one, The Accidental Marathon by Lucy Hawking, who is actually Stephen Hawking's daughter, which I found out after I'd already read it. So this book is about a woman named Fleur who works in the art world, and one day she finds a flyer in the post called the Lifestyle Checklist. This leads her to kind of accidentally, indirectly, sign up for the Runners Club, which is a club of people whose goal is to run the London Marathon. There are several other storylines as well in this book, all of them surrounding Fleur. And that's actually one of the reasons why I didn't like this book so much. I'm just trying to delicately put my tea away without knocking it over. There are several storylines and I felt like they were kind of unconnected or didn't really add anything to the story, and the marathon thing actually takes quite a while, like a whole other storyline is started up and finished before you even get to the marathon part. So yeah, I didn't like this book. I didn't connect to the characters at all. Some of the storylines were very bizarre, and there was also, I don't want to call it surprise racism, but there were a few things in this book that I was really uncomfortable with. A small example is that the author consistently talked about the looks of people of colour by making comparisons to food, like coffee and chocolate and stuff like that. And I mean, obviously I'm not a person of colour, so I can't really judge what that feels like, but I don't like it. I don't like it. So that, combined with the fact that there wasn't really a strong story going on and I didn't really care about any of the characters, led me to rate this book 1 star, which is pretty rare for me. It doesn't mean that I hated it, like actively, I just completely don't care about this book. As I mentioned a few times, I got this from a little free library close to my house, so I'm probably gonna put it back there and hopefully someone else will enjoy it. The second book I want to talk about is The Bees by Laline Paull, which I read in July. This is about a worker bee named Flora717 who's a bit of a Mary Sue bee. She's different from the others and better, kind of, in a way. But because this book is so cool, I am absolutely willing to overlook that Mary Sue-ness. I want to do a separate review of this book because I don't feel like I can do it justice in just this very short video because I have so much to get through. But I really liked it. I definitely recommend it. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. I would have rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars if I could have, but that's not an option on Goodreads. So if you have a chance to pick up this book, definitely go do so. I would like to take this moment to remind everyone that I always post links to the Goodreads and book depository pages of the books that I talk about in my videos in the description, so you don't have to do all the searching yourself. You can just go to the description and click on the links and you're done. Next, I read Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews, which I received as a birthday gift from Aria from Book Geek Movie Freak. This book is about Greg, who is kind of an outsider, actively, like he's done that to himself because he wants to stay out of all the high school like cliques and politics, and this group doesn't like that group and yada yada yada. But because he wants to stay out of that, he's also kind of excluded himself from any potential friendships, and so he really only has one friend named Earl and they make films together. But then Greg finds out that his former sort of friend, Rachel, is very ill. She has leukemia and yeah, she's just not doing very well. They sort of rekindle their friendship in a very awkward and yet also very touching way as she gets sicker and sicker. I don't think I really loved this book, but there was something about it that just made me, you know, keep coming back for more. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. I was really unsure whether to rate it 3 or 4 stars. But then, you know, looking at other ratings that I'd done for other books, I decided that 3 stars was a fair rating. The rating system and me, we're not friends. I do think I would recommend this book. It was kind of different than I expected to, because the narrative voice, Greg's voice, is very strange, very unusual. He's very, he doesn't really like himself very much, and he doesn't really like his life very much, and he doesn't really like the story that he's writing very much. So it's interesting, because normally I don't really like when people are very negative about themselves in real life. Like, that's one of the things that really bugged me about All I Know Now, for example, that Carrie kept saying things like, yeah, I'm such a dog, oh my daft life, la la la. I really don't like that, but because this is fiction, it's different. And also because he's genuinely a bit of a loser. Next, I read a book by the Dutch Institute for Lexicology called Waar, komt, pindakaas vandaan, which translates to where does peanut butter come from, and they're referring to the word and not the actual substance. I don't have this book now because I borrowed it from Laline, who was in my Wreck This Journal video, and I already gave it back to her because it's her book and she also wanted to read it, so fair enough. So anyway, this book is about 100 words and idioms that are kind of strange in the Dutch language, and they explain, you know, how these came to be and where they came from and what they used to refer to, and usually they're pretty funny stories. Etymology is one of the things about linguistics and language in general that I find most interesting, so it was definitely really good read for me, and it's really short as well, so you can definitely finish it in like an afternoon. Obviously it's a Dutch book about the Dutch language, so I can't really recommend it to everyone because I don't think that the majority of the people who watch my videos are actually Dutch. But if you are and you're interested in language, then I would definitely recommend you pick it up. Finally, in July, I read this book, which is a book with a story because it was written by Afe, you know, my friend Afe, who's a graphic designer who did this one on my mug, and it was written by her when she was 11 years old. She was in primary school. It was kind of like a project or something because she was like a smart student or whatever, and so they said, do you want to do something else instead of boring lessons? And she said yes. I mean, I would have said yes, so definitely completely understand that. And I also think it's really cool that her school gave her that opportunity. So this book is called Nooit Gedachtland, which is the Dutch translation of Neverland, as in Peter Pan. And it's about Danny Pan, who finds out when he is 10 years old that Peter Pan is in fact his father. Wendy is his mother, and he's always known that his mother has a history with Peter Pan, but he never really thought that, because he's like his hero, and then to find out that it's in fact his father, that's pretty cool. So he gets to spend a summer with him in Neverland, and he makes a friend called Linko, and they kind of go on adventures together. This book doesn't have a barcode, so it's not like on the internet anywhere, unfortunately, so I can't link it below or anything. But it's a very cute book. It's very much how I would have written a book if I was 11 years old. There are some influences in there that are pretty easy to pick up on, but for an 11-year-old, this is really well done. Like, it's really cool. So let's move on to the ReadAThon. I'm not going to go into exactly how this whole thing works and what it entails and everything. I will just leave all the relevant information down below. Basically, it's just a week in which you read as many books as you can, and there are also 7 reading challenges. I'm just quickly going to run you through the books that I'm going to read, and I won't go into the content of the books too much because I'll save that for my wrap-up. So the first challenge is to read a book with blue on the cover, and I have decided to go with The First Phone Call from Heaven by Mitch Albom, which has been on my TBR for years probably. I've once read a Mitch Albom book which was about, I believe it was about a man who invented time and then became kind of Father Time, like the timekeeper, that's the title of the book. And I really liked his writing style and the kind of strange idea of the story, and I think this is similar. As the title says, it's about a phone call from heaven. The second challenge is to read a book by an author who shares the same first letter of their last name with me. My last name starts with a W, so I decided to pick up The Once and Future King by T.H. White. Again, this is a book that I've been wanting to read forever. It's been recommended to me 1,000 times. And yeah, I thought, you know, why not? It's a huge book, it's really massive, it's almost 900 pages, but I find that reading big books is somehow easier during readathons because you're committed anyway, you know, you might as well go for a big one. The third challenge is to read someone else's favourite book. So I asked my fellow band members what their favourite book was, and one of them said Alice in Wonderland, and then I suddenly remembered that I have this absolutely ancient copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I must admit that I've never actually read Alice in Wonderland, so this is as good a time as any to finally do that. Obviously, you know, I know like the rough outline of the story, but I've never actually read the actual book. I'm going to try to read the whole thing, but if I only manage to read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, I think I'm still going to count it. The fourth challenge is to read the last book you acquired, and my 3 most recent purchases are actually in this list. These are 2 of them, and I will get around to the third one in a minute. So yeah, that should be fine. Challenge number 5 is pretty cool. It is to read a book without letting go of it. I'm going to attempt to read this one. Taal is zeg maar echt mijn ding, which is a Dutch book about language by Paulien Cornelisse. It's not super thin. I think it's about 212 pages. But I think I can do it. I've already read part of it a long time ago, and I remember that it was a pretty quick read, so I think it should be possible. Challenge number 6 is to read a book you really want to read, and I picked this one, The Love Song of Miss Queenie Hennessy by Rachel Joyce. This is kind of the companion novel, I guess, to The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, which I read not too long ago. And I really wanted to read this. I had to wait till it came out in this size because I obviously wanted it to match my Harold Fry copy. And then I found it recently, as in last week. So I'm really excited to get into it. The final challenge is to read 7 books, and let's be honest, that's not gonna happen. I have 5 books now, which I think is already quite impressive. You know, if I manage to read 3 of them, I'm already going to be quite happy because one of them is 900 pages, let's not forget. I'm planning to vlog my reading experiences throughout the week, so that vlog will probably be up next week, depending on how long editing is going to take me. Finally, for my August TBR, I will be reading anything that I don't finish during the Booktube-a-thon. And in addition to that, I also want to read or reread 1984 by George Orwell because not too long ago I bought this gorgeous edition that I'm really happy with. And I already reread Animal Farm, which I also got in this edition. And I was going to read 1984 in July, but I never really... I want to say I didn't get around to it, but that's not true. I just wasn't in the right mindset to read it. So hopefully somewhere in August I will feel ready to get back into this one again. Finally, I want to read Angela's Ashes, which I received as a birthday gift from my best friend's mother. It's written by McCourt and it's the memoir of his childhood, I believe. I really don't know much about it. I know that it's set in Ireland. And, you know, I don't really read a lot of memoirs or kind of non-fiction-y stuff, so I don't know, I guess we'll see what I think. So those are all the books I read in July and all the books I'm planning to read in August. If you want to respond to anything I said in this video, please feel free to do so in the comments. And if you're also participating in the Booktube-a-thon, please let me know, because then we can like tweet each other and help each other through difficult moments when we're tired and really want to go to bed, but we need to finish the chapter. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye!